Welcome back, and today we are going to be taking a look at the male sales. Now the sales are a little bit dry, there's not many high tier stuff. I made a video on the MiG-23 ML yesterday thinking that it was going to go on sale, and I just wanted to warn you that the flight model was going to change. Luckily they didn't put it on sale, so I don't think it's as scummy. I still don't agree with it, but that's not the topic of today's video. If you are looking to buy anything, feel free to use my discount link. You won't get an additional discount, but you will get my decal if you don't already have it, and you will support me along the way. I'm gonna first take a look at all the vehicles that can fly, and then I will look at the vehicles that can drive, or they can both drive, but you know what I mean. Ships, I cannot comment on. I will address someone in the comments that can do it for me, because I have sincerely not a clue what I'm talking about when it comes about boats, unless it's something like the Wyvern. The Wyvern is a little bit of a boat. However, it's insanely fast. It goes 650 kilometers an hour on the deck, which is faster than a lot of the 6.0 planes in the game, and it's at 4.3. You have an airspan. You have insanely good early game potential. It's not the most interesting to fly because it's mostly about going in a straight line. If you try to dogfight anything, it will lose its speed very quickly. I made 3 videos or so on this plane. They're all still applicable. Nothing really changed. You want to use your airspan, you want to use your guns, and you can really just shred like 3 to 4 people at the start of the match, and then you might trade, because this thing is basically a flying fuel tank, and if you get hit by anything, you're likely to be set on fire, which is a little bit unfortunate. It's not the most dynamic to fly, but it's definitely a very good grinder. If you are looking to use this thing as a ground pounder, it's of course a lot better at that, simply because, well, that's kind of what it's designed to do. Then we have the Weissman Spitfire pack. It's the LF Mark 9, which is an insanely good 5.7 Spitfire, probably one of the best Spitfires in the game for the BR. However, for the Israeli Tech Tree, I can't really recommend it, because at rank 4, you kinda don't get anything at rank 1, 2 and 3. Rank 4 is a little bit of a pain. I do think that if you are looking to grind the Israeli Tech Tree, this is a decent pickup, but I think on its own the value is really not there. The A4 premium that you have in the Israeli Tech Tree is also just not worth it. The Kavir is, but that's clearly not on sale. That is not something you can pick up right now. My recommendation would be, if you are looking to grind lower tier and maybe you want to talisman something in the tier behind it, then you can talisman the Uragan, or you can talisman the Mark 8 Meteor, which are both pretty good right now, especially with the custom fuel loads. For 15 bucks, it is a good plane, but I don't think it's necessarily worth it, considering the Israeli Tech Tree just doesn't have much to grind if you get a rank 4 premium when the tier or the tree starts at rank 4 itself. Then we have the Dora. The Dora D13 is well, it's one of the best premium props that you can buy for the German Tech Tree. Period. There's no way around it. You have to keep in mind that the Dora is a little bit of a supportive fighter. It's a pack fighter. This doesn't mean that it's bad. It's incredibly capable, but you need a teammate or a squad mate or just very dumb enemies to alleviate the pressure sometimes. If you are able to set up with this plane properly, you are going to have a very good time. It's extremely strong and it's very potent, especially at 5.0. The matchmaker also isn't terrible. The 6.0 games that you get on occasion are a little bit rough, especially with the F2Gs flying about. But overall, it's a good pickup. And if you are wondering what the differences are between the D13 as well as the D9 or the D12, for example, so it's the same as the D12, other than the boosted ailerons. And of course the guns. The D12 has a 30mm in the nose. This one has an extra MG151 20mm, so it has 3 20mm. And the D9 has of course the 13s, but that's not the only difference. The D9 also rolls worse, and the D9 is tuned for low altitude. The engine performs a little bit better at low alt than the D13, however the D13 performs better at high altitude. I do think that the D9 is a better plane for aerobie, simply because of, well, the tune of the engine. It's slightly lighter because of the guns as well, but it rolls a little bit worse. I think that the D13, if you don't have any German planes yet, for 15 bucks is an incredibly good pickup. However, keep in mind there are better planes at the BR, like the D9 if you already have it, and if you aren't struggling with SL, I would say just fly that instead. Or the G6, of course, but that's a topic for another time. Then we have the Mustang, and this is a plane where you can tell that I'm definitely not chilling, because this thing, don't pick it up. It's simply not worth it. It's a Mustang without good climb rate. It only has top speed, and that's literally all it has. The rudder doesn't work, so sitting at high speed doesn't make you very effective. All you can really do is extend, run away, and you really need a team with this thing. But this is not the support fighter in the sense that the Dora is. It's a support fighter in the sense that it cannot function on its own. I would say stay clear of this thing. It is not worth your money. Then we have the AV8A, which I think is a pretty decent grinder. You have very good acceleration up until like 800 kilometers an hour. And you have two pretty good missiles. You have flares. Overall pretty survivable, but keep in mind that this thing shits away speed like nothing else. You might have very good acceleration at low speed, but you're not gonna keep accelerating if you maneuver at all. The retention is god awful. Above 850 to 900 kilometers an hour, the acceleration just doesn't exist anymore. You're not the fastest, and in the era of like supersonic jets at 9.3, I don't think it's particularly amazing, but in terms of grinding, it is pretty good. Now, I would say wait for the next sales, don't bother with the AV8A, but if you really want something right now, it is not a terrible pickup. And then we have the TU1. It's a strike bomber if you are a ground RB player, I guess, but this thing for air RB is definitely not it. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I am a human, thank you. And then over here we have some starter packs. Well, the starter packs aren't fantastic. I don't think they are that great. And then we have a pack that actually has a few pretty good planes. Now, the issue is that this pack is incredibly expensive. And I think in that sense, it is not worth it. However, if we want to look at the individual planes, and I do want... Can you buy them separately? Oh, you can't. Now, look at that. So, they are full price then, which is a bit of a shame. But some of these planes are pretty damn good. First one is going to be the John Plager Spitfire LF Mark 9. Now, it's the same thing as with the Weissman Spitfire in the Israeli tech tree. It is a very good 5.7 Spit. Can't really talk about that. It's a good premium. It's one of the better premiums for the British tech tree. So I do think that this is worth picking up in itself. Then we have the Ray Westmore's P51 D10. It's a better D20. This is also one of those planes that simply... It's just good. It's 4.3, it has good performance, it's fast, it has a decent climb rate, it's slightly worse D30 at a lower battle rating. Now, it's not as overpowered as some people say it is, but it's very potent, it's very strong, and I do think that this is one of those collector P51s that if you are an avid P51 enjoyer, this is one that you can't really miss. Then we have George Boswick's P47M. Now, it is, on paper, the best P47 in the game. If you are a P47 enjoyer, it is insanely good. However, it comes with a little bit of a caveat. This plane is kind of shafted by the meta. The meta is about mid to low altitude nowadays. It's about fast kills. It's about being in the thick of it. And this plane is all about slow methodical gameplay, getting altitude, getting speed, and booming, zooming the ever-living hell out of the entire lobby. And it's extremely good at that. So it's a good premium in that sense. However, it just doesn't lend itself to the matchmaker. It's kind of just a good plane in the wrong meta. It doesn't really work all the time. Doesn't mean that it's terrible, but I don't think that you should pick up this thing on its own. It's not bad in case you're buying the entire pack. I think it's completely overpriced, but that's, again, besides the point. It's good, but it's in the wrong meta. Then we have the Yak 9M. It's probably one of my most flown low-tier props. It's, well, a slightly worse Yak 1B for the meta, but in the same sense as with the P47M, it's actually pretty decent. It's slightly faster, it holds its speed better, it has better linear retention. It's the more slow version of the Yak 1B, despite it being, of course, a faster airframe. It's a good plane. It's pretty enjoyable to fly, but it got up-tiered recently, and I do think that that kind of shafts it a little bit. I don't think that you should pick up this thing on its own, considering the Yak 1B is simply better if you are just looking at pure performance in the RB, well, universe, I guess. Of course, on paper it is better at high alt, it's slightly faster, it holds its speed better, but it's just slightly less maneuverable, and this means that you just can't stick with people as much as you would like to, which is a little bit of a problem considering, well, RB is all about that turning performance. It's still a maneuverable plane. it's just not as good as the Yak 1B would be. However, this of course has much better rewards. Then we have the I'm not gonna pronounce that, the LA7. I can't really say much about this. It's an insanely strong plane. It's an absolute fragmobile. Run tracers on the guns. This is a plane that I would buy on its own. It's fast, it's maneuverable, it doesn't really compress. Yes, the rip speed is slightly low, but that's really the main downside with this thing. It's also not the best at high altitude, but again, in the RRB meta, this thing is pretty damn solid. You can dogfight about anything, you outrun about anything, and the things that outrun you, you 100% out dogfight, and vice versa. So this is an insanely strong plane for RRB. And I can't really recommend it enough. This is one of those planes that I would say, yeah, get it. The only issue is that the USSR tech tree has so many good premiums that I don't think you have to splurge 23 bucks on a rank 4 prop. But, you know, that's my take on it. Then we have the Prendergast Spitfire FR Mark 14E. No. So this is one of the best Spitfires in the game for the BR. And this is one of the worst. So you have a Griffin, which overheats quite badly. It's very draggy at low altitudes because you have to keep your radiators open. It overheats extremely quickly. It doesn't get good until you reach like 5,000 to 6,000 meters. And then you have the clipped wings. And the clipped wings make you roll better. It compresses a little bit worse. A little bit less, I should say, actually. It's the other way around. But it shit speed away. The clipped wings make your retention worse and your turn rate. So you are losing more speed for less turn, which is a double whammy, because this is one of the worst Spitfires that you can fly at medium to low altitude, which is exactly what RRB is about. And I think that's all the planes that are in the game right now. Of course, you have the Fokker, you have the Ki 44, and you have the Spitfire Mark II Venture. But, oh wait, we also have these, the RE 2001, the Curtis Hawk H81A2. I think this is basically a P40. And I think none of these are particularly great. The rank 2 or rank 1 premiums, and I would say that it's a waste of money. Now, if you still have the A6MCO starter pack, that is always worth it because it's like $7. It's a rank 4 prop, it's a premium, it's all just good overall. It's not a great plane, but it's insane value for money. You don't get the same thing with these planes or tanks for that matter. And then we have the tanks. Now, personally, I don't really have much affinity with tanks. I'm not particularly great at them. But I have someone that is very good at them, and he also has a channel. So if you aren't aware of who Cavenup is, or if you don't know his channel, feel free to check him out. Tell him hi. He's insanely good. He's insanely knowledgeable, and he's going to help me with today's buying guide. Now, I can't go too in-depth because, well, of course, I don't know any of this experience firsthand. So I'm basically going off what he is saying. And I do value his word a lot, otherwise I wouldn't bring him on for, well, exactly this. Now we have the K9 Vidar, which really doesn't need an introduction. This thing is pretty damn notorious, even so that I know it. I would say pick it up if you know exactly what you're getting into. Just be aware that it might be nerfed in the future, because it might be doing a little bit too well when it comes to the statistics. But you know, when a tank is that good, most of the time it's also played by a lot of people that don't know what they're doing, tanking the stats, making the PR somewhat stable again. Funny how that works, huh? Then we have the Term 3, and the Term 3 is a good pickup. It's a glass cannon, however, you do want to be somewhat careful of your positioning and like picking your engagement. It's a very good tank. It's just a little bit punishing to play. Now we have the King Tiger and the T29. Now he doesn't necessarily recommend these, and it's not because they are bad, and it's because they are a low rank. Now you can only research up till rank 5 with these, and because there are 8 ranks nowadays, you are going to be left with having to buy something else potentially, or talismaning something. In the long run it might be more expensive, so he's kind of saying don't, if you only want high tier stuff, because you have to buy 2 things in essence. But they are pretty good vehicles if you want them for your lineup, or if it's something that you are simply just interested in. Then with the IS-6, and the IS-6 is in the same boat, however it's rank 5, so you are able to research a little bit higher. But the thing is, if you get up tier to 8.7, this thing sucks, and the reload is a little bit hefty, making it not the greatest to play. But of course, it's basically a heavy tank with medium tank maneuverability, so in that sense, it is pretty strong. Then we have the Soma SM, good gun, good shell, good reload, good maneuverability, not the best, just good decent maneuverability, decent armor, and it's a tank even I do well in, so that should tell you enough. He recommends this thing, and even I do, so keep that in mind. Then we have the Object 120. We don't really recommend it, however, it's a big fuck you gun. One shot's essentially everything you shoot at, but there is better things to pick up in the Russian tech tree, especially considering it's only a rank 5. And then we have the Merkava Mark II-D. Now this is a good pickup if you want to grind Israel, but the tank in itself is just... It's okay, it's pretty good, but it's not like amazing. It's not like a tank that you pick up just because you want to play it. But if you are looking to get the Israeli tech tree, it's a pretty decent pick. Then we have the Roycat 105, and well, doesn't really need an introduction, same as the VRCC. It's a wheeled tank with a good gun, good maneuverability, no armor, all about positioning, all about maneuvering. Just don't try to trade any hits or play tennis with people at long range, because you are likely going to be losing it. Then we have the VRCC Centauro pack. And he says that it's a pretty good tank. The thing is that you can only grind up until rank 7, of course. The thing is, well, Italy only has like the AMV at rank 8, so it's not a huge loss. And it's a much better thing to play at 9.7 than it is to play the Centauro RGO at 11.3. So we think that the... Where did it go? I scrolled off. God damn it. The Centauro, we think, is a pretty good pickup if you are looking to get Italy. Yeah, that's actually all there is. I was going to follow up with something, but that's it. Then we have the M51, when I think it's not really worth it. Hazy told me once, who is another great player, also a friend of ours, that for only 10 bucks more you get a tank that's like 2 ranks higher, like on sale. We don't think that this is worth it over the Merkava, but it is a pretty decent tank. Just be careful that the post-pen damage on this thing, despite the penetration being very good, it's a little bit RNG, and sometimes it does absolutely nothing, and then the next shell you will just absolutely implode someone into the Shadow Realm. And then we have the starter packs again, not going to comment on them, and we have the Tracks of Victory bundle. Now, I was going over these in the Plane Tech tree, the Wings of Victory bundle, and they had some pretty decent ones in there. Now, I'm not going to pretend like it's not a waste of money to pay like 100 bucks for like 5 premiums. Now, if they are a premium in every nation, so if instead of 2 US ones, 2 USSR ones, you had like 1 Japanese, 1 British, 1 American, 1 Russian, 1 German, you know, a little bit of everything, I could excuse it. But this is not it. This bundle is not it. The M5 Canadian is a joke. The IS-2 is... Well, it's an IS-2, but for 40 bucks? Come on, bro. The T-3485E, it's a pretty okay tank, but for 30 bucks? M18. 23 bucks for an M18. Like, I don't really need to address why this is ridiculous. Don't pick these up. The tanks are not worth it. It's not worth picking up. Just don't. It's overpriced. You're getting, like, premiums for the same nation. Like, the M5A1 is pure filler. The Black Cat is okay, but not for 23 bucks. And yes, it's on sale, I know. But you have to buy all of them. And we just think that it's not worth it. The plane pack is somewhat okay, because it actually has some pretty good vehicles. But all of these vehicles are like mediocre to decent. And you pay like 120 bucks for it. And that's euro. If you are on USD, it's probably more. If you are on our Australian dollar, you're probably going to tear your dick off. Yeah, that's it. If you are looking for more of an in-depth look for the tanks, Cave will definitely leave a comment. I will tell him to do so, and otherwise I will shank him in the neck. And if you have any questions, if you have any in-depth questions, or you have a particular question where you're like, I have this talisman, I'm at this BR rank, is this plane still worth it? Feel free to drop it down below. I'll be happy to answer it all for you. Don't forget to use the discount link, whether it's mine or someone else's. Get a decal, support your favorite CC, and steal a little bit of money from Gaijin as well, because it goes to us instead of them. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching. You'll see me in the next one. Don't spend too much money. This game isn't worth it.